This is SirCork, and this is Mission Control Monday. I'm here with LittleScribe, where we're in a bit of a panic because Space Carrie seems to have been teleported away from us and isn't here to perform the show tonight live herself. We're going to try to muddle through, and boy, have we started off with a bang. I've got a thunderstorm going on outside that may take the stream right out from underneath of my feet. And if so, LittleScribe will try to scramble and figure out something in a panic and then maybe get back on the air. If not, at least perhaps we'll get a good recording and try to get on with the show. Hi, LittleScribe. How you doing?
Hey, great to be here. Doing pretty well over here, although we are sans rainstorms here.
Sans rainstorms. Well, you're lucky because with rainstorms here comes hail and power failures. I'm in Virginia, somewhere in the middle of the East Coast, and it's kind of the north where it's cold and it's kind of the south where it's hot. So what we get is this collision of climate that causes calamities. Say that really fast.
That was an awesome alliteration. You should be really proud. My English teacher would give you a blue ribbon for that.
So I've just moved someone out of the show control booth. Just want to let them know that this show is going to be a broadcast only, where LittleScribe and I are going to do what we consider to be a producer's cut of the Mission Control Monday's show, Space Carrie's Adventures in Space. Now, LittleScribe and I are both actors and actresses. Well, we're not both of those things. Well, wait a minute. What am I saying, LittleScribe? Take over and make English happen for me.
Actually, I kind of like your take on it. We are actor and actress. We're voice actor and voice actress, impromptu extraordinaire. Although, what with all the head swapping going on, it's hard to tell who's what gender when.
You know, I was thinking the same thing. The head swapping actually covers my faux pas.
It certainly does. It's almost like it was almost like it was a, what do you call that? Freudian slip?
A Freudian slip. You know, I thought a Freudian slip was just that guy Freud's underwear, basically.
No, it's when Freud slips on a banana.
Wah, wah, wah. So this show may or may not be funny, ladies and gentlemen, but it doesn't matter because there's nobody here. We tried to get out the post and we tried to let everyone know that Carrie wouldn't be here, and apparently we did it so effectively that they chose not to even come. But the fact of the matter is, we do have a show.
I guess they love Carrie more than us, even combined.
I totally think that's totally true. And that's probably a real crying damn shame. We'll just give people a few minutes to arrive. So, LittleScribe, what's been going on in your week this week?
Well, it's funny you talk about the thunderstorm and the hail because it's fully spring. I mean, we've got like gardens and flowers abloom and birds a chirping. And then last night we get hit with this crazy storm, like pelting against the doors and the windows. I thought I was about to die, but then I mean, you wake up and everything's fine. So I don't know. Maybe you got our storm like a day and a half later. It's kind of weird though, because that would take like 3 days to get to your house because we're over in Nevada. Well, I see we have Oh, thank you, Sarge, for the Nicolas Cage picture. We always love a little Nick Cage. And we have some Phoenix in the house.
Yeah, I've been jabbering away at you with the wrong press to talk button to tell you that I once owned some land in Nevada, but I bought it on eBay and I never saw the land, and I paid $99 down and $99 a month for 40 acres of land in Nevada. That's how cheap land is in Nevada. But now that I know you guys have pelty storms, I'm glad that I discontinued that loan and never actually pursued that.
Wait a minute. We need to like expand on this for a second. So you're telling me that you bought land in Nevada and then like discontinued the loan, like you sold it back to the bank or what?
Try to make a long story short, but it kind of ties into Space Carrie. I was way ahead of my time and I was very futuristic. About 10 years ago, I had the idea to build a giant solar farm out in Nevada. And what I did was I had the idea to go surfing on eBay, which led me to the real estate section, which led me to purchasing some land on an impulse, 40 acres. And the auction was you paid $99 to win the auction, buy it now. And then you made a contract with the guy, $99 a month for 4 years. And so it was basically like $4,100 or $4,900 to buy this 40-acre piece of the desert. more or less. And yeah, so I bought 40 acres of empty space in the Nevada desert. I was going to be where I went to live off grid. I ended up in North Carolina to live off grid and never made it to Nevada because my RV broke down in the mountains on the East Coast. I parked in a campground and ended up staying there 5 years, buying property instead in North Carolina, and never went to Nevada. And so I basically called the guy and said, can I get out of this loan? He said, sure, you've got a credit if you ever want to buy the land or any other of my land again. Just call me and you've got like, $800 worth of payments paid. And
that's so crazy. You could like gold mine out there or something.
Well, that was exactly right. And you know what I did? I actually did gold mine in North Carolina. I owned a gold and gem mining equipment store for a while. I lived off grid, but I was going to Nevada to gold mine. And then I was going to build a solar facility. Before it was all over, I had worked with the land seller to put together a 500-acre contiguous piece of land. And we got as far as getting a green loan, 100% loan to value, to build a solar complex. I got a Spanish company at the time that Obama was coming into the presidency, and green loans and solar were all hot and big deal. And I basically managed to put together a facility plan that was going to be the biggest solar facility in Nevada, large enough to power Reno, and got as far as it all being done until we talked to the Nevada Utilities Commission, and we discovered that there was a 6-mile strip of land covered in farms that make sod. Which, by the way, if you Google map Nevada and zero in on the desert, there are these giant green round circles that look like some kind of alien spacecraft landed there and turned the ground green.
Oh, yes, I'm well aware of those.
And those are sod farms. Well, those sod farms were in between my property and the grid tie where we could bring in 2 gigavolts of power on a regular basis. And so even though I was about to build the largest solar plant in Nevada, and the community and the Utilities Commission and everybody were all about it, we could not get easements from those farmers to cross their land and put the transformer lines up to bring the power off my solar facility and into the grid. So we had to abandon the entire thing, and I backed out and stayed in North Carolina. And that's the story.
That is a really good story, because I'm sure you're aware the Tesla factory is right smack in the middle of Nevada now. And I can almost guarantee you he probably would have wanted a piece of your pie, because that's one of his major thrusts here. In fact, we see a lot of the Tesla mechanics and salespeople just kind of running around Reno and Tahoe and Northern Nevada just because they're out installing solar panels in the houses and so forth. So, and actually one of the biggest problems we've had is with the Utilities Commission, because they're all jealous. So they actually will, I wouldn't say they tax us for our solar, but they kind of cause some huge problems with people wanting to start their own energy systems in their own homes. It's just the way a monopoly is,
Well, this was definitely not like home-based solar. I was going to make, as I said, 2 gigavolts of power, enough to power the entire city of Reno single-handedly. And Nevada was Nevada was very accommodating to that. However, the commissioner of utilities out there actually got on the phone with me himself, the state commissioner of utilities, the top dog in charge of all electricity in your state, and I had a phone call. And in that call, he said, I'm looking at this and it's just not going to work. He says, the only place we can bring you into the grid crosses the sod farms from your property. Unless you can buy one of those and get them out of the way, you can't get there from here. And later, I found out there might have been more to that story. Some famous politician whose name escapes me now in the Obama administration has a son who's in the solar business. And now there is a very large solar plant in Nevada, a multi-100-acre solar plant. And that guy is, oh God, I can't remember his name. It's 10 years ago, almost 7 years ago. And I don't remember who the guy was, but there's a very large solar plant there elsewhere in Nevada now that was also in progress when I was doing mine. So there's a possibility that my little tiny individual entrepreneurial butt got beat by major politicians behind the scenes. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, it does tie in actually really well with space, Carrie, because, and by the way, it could have been Harry Reid's son. We'd have to look into it a little check, but
that sounds right. Harry Reid's son. That sounds about right.
Yeah, he would do something like that. He was all about snuffing out the small businessman.
Quite possibly. But this is completely off topic for the show we have planned. Here's Chris Roberts, CarrieAllen's husband, who has come in from outer space to let us know that hopefully Carrie is still alive. We figure she's been transported somewhere to do something important to save the world. Not sure, but Chris is here. Chris, we've sent messages out to the world to try and drum up an audience, but we seem to just have you and Sarge here at the moment, so we're just bantering back and forth about solar power and some things like that.
I don't know if Chris can hop in the control booth, but I actually had some questions for Chris, if I may.
Chris, being primarily the sound producer, script writer, and everything else, are you available to come on the air, Chris, or are you out at the carnival with Space Carrie as well?
Looks like he's at work.
Oh, he's at work, yeah. Yeah, that's not gonna work. He can't be at work and do radio at the same time, I would imagine.
And Space Carrie is out playing with space carnival children for her space nonprofit, right?
That's correct. So Carrie runs a not-for-profit organization in Colorado, which takes care of putting on fundraising carnivals for children's schools, I believe, as I understand it. And she's performing one of those events today. And as she told me, she said she'd love to come on the air tonight, but she would be busy cleaning up after a bunch of children, which, since I live in an apartment complex and have to clean up after my dogs, conjured up all kinds of funny visions.
Well, I think from my end, even though we can't talk to Chris on mic, I'm just going to say right now, I love his writing style. Every time we get a script from Carrie, I mean, it seems like it's every week. Every time we get a script from Carrie, I like to give it a good read through just to see who's saying what, so I know where I come into context. But I always get such a chuckle because I don't know if it's just getting better every week or if it's just I'm getting more accustomed to the style. But I think Chris kind of has this funny way of bringing in the dialogue just so. Like he's really great at innuendo. Have you found that?
I agree totally. Now, let me just tell you a secret you may not have known that isn't a secret, really. But Chris and Carrie are both university educated theatrical experts. They both, I think, either, I don't know if they majored in theater. Chris might be able to take the time from work to confirm this if he's listening, but I know they both went to school for theater, basically, in some capacity, as did I, but I did it in 1986, 87, 88. So I was actually in some pretty major college productions before I dropped out, and all the high school ones, and all of our super church ones in the city I grew up in. So I've been in theater musicals all my life as well.
That's interesting. You know, it doesn't surprise me at all. And I actually had suspicions about the fact because they have some pretty formal approaches to their script writing that you don't just get from like writing. Like you would have to have been trained in some way or another. And not only that, but the nuances and the rhythm and the like, you know, fade in music and the fade out this person. That's all kind of nuanced and it's kind of formal and it kind of bespeaks the more formal training in my opinion. But regardless, I mean, they do have this natural ability, both of them. And I think between Chris, who does most of the script, and then Carrie, who does most of the sound effects and the voice, you know, blending, I think the two of them make a really great pair. And it's just so fun to have a show like this on air. It like brings me back to, I mean, before I was born, frankly.
So in the chat, Chris Roberts is conversing with some of our other attendees, and he's been asked. Well, he answered my question, which tells us that he's listening. They have BFAs in theater, and he worked professionally for a few years. So Chris Roberts has been trained to write scripts, has been trained to create soundscapes and to create theatrical performances. And he said that they have two BFAs in theater, to which one of the listeners asked, what's a BFA? And I answered for him. I said, it's a Bachelor of fucking Arts, man.
Exactly.
But we're still not actually sure what the real answer is to BFA.
No, I think it actually says that on the diploma.
Bachelor of fucking Arts, for sure. Yeah. But maybe Chris will actually eventually answer that question and tell us what it stands for. I'm not entirely sure. He's typing now. So, oh, fine arts. Bachelor of Fine Arts. Fucking arts. Same thing. Yeah.
I think I might have one of those. I'm not even sure.
You have a Bachelor of Fine Arts and you don't even know? Well, your degree is in law, right?
No, my degree is in humanities. I feel like that's
the farthest thing from law.
No, it's not law, but it's a great undergraduate degree if you're going into law, because they have a lot of philosophy, anthropology, the study of human nature, and like writing. There's a ton of writing in humanities. So they always like the humanities majors in law school for some reason.
So I dropped out of college the first time, and I've been back to community colleges and sort of online colleges and stuff over the years and taken many, many courses. But my original go away from high school, go to college, I dropped out of the University of Virginia. And I went for about 18 months. I did a summer session, a full school year, another summer session, and one more semester, I think, and then dropped out. So I only got through like a year and a half of actual classes because the summer sessions weren't full load. I took as an English communications major, but I was in the theater department. And a little anecdote that no one knows about me, we can do facts no one knows about us. I performed fully nude in a stage performance 7 nights running in a large-scale theatrical performance in a large-scale theater at the college campus. And my part was, it was a murder mystery comedy written by the one of the theater professors. And we performed it, Murder at Sweetwater Canal. That was the name of the show. No one's ever heard of it. It was never performed again as far as I know. But it was a house, a boarding house, with about 8 people that lived in it. And it was kind of like the game Clue, where you watch the play and you tried to figure out who done it, right? You get the idea?
That's kind of the first thing that came to mind when you said that.
So each of the people in the house, of course, because it's theatrics, had a distinctive personality. There was the narrator-type, bearded, portly man who was sane, and he would not only play a role in the house as kind of the house organizer and father figure, but each of the characters in the house, there was the crazy cat lady type woman who lived in the boarding house. There was the I don't know, I can't even remember all that much about the actual play, but I do remember that I played the houseboy. I was young looking. When I shaved my beard off, I looked 12 despite being 50. So I was the houseboy, and my job in the house was taking care of the gardening, the cooking, and I was the youngest member of the cast in the actual characters, not necessarily in real life, and I was a nudist. So the show opened with me standing, all kinds of sight gags, they're called, standing behind a couch fully nude where you can't see my privates, standing outside a window, holding a garden hose, watering the garden so that it looks like I'm standing out the window taking a pee, and things like that.
Okay, so this is kind of like on Tim the Tool Man, where his neighbor is like, howdy ho, neighbor, and he's always behind the fence.
Something like that, except for the whole point was to hide my privates, or I appeared in my underwear. I was either in my underwear when I had to move around the stage, or there were sight gags. So when the curtains opened, I was the one in the living room vacuuming, and I was standing behind the couch, which had a high back. It was maybe it was like a couch chair thing that was tall enough to hide from me from the waist down.
Right.
But I had to appear nude. So here's how that went for me. First of all, when you do a major scale theater production, there's always a show director who's up in the catwalk above the stage, who's there to cue lines if you forget a line, and to do some stage direction during the show, right?
Right.
So this was a girl, and she was a hot girl, and she was looking down on the stage. And I was legitimately nude, okay? So I did appear in my underwear, but for this to work, and we were in college, we were adults, you know, I had to be actually nude. And I had a couple things about that. First of all, the makeup girl was this darling little black girl from Richmond, the city I happen to live in now. And she had a great liking for me. I remember now in retrospect, as an older adult looking back, I should have dated that girl. She was in love with me, but I didn't realize it at the time. But she always volunteered to do my makeup, and because we're in bright lights, my makeup was full body. I had to have my whole body had to be made up. So basically, every night before the show, I got a hand job.
So she got to do everything.
I mean, to a point. Like, this is not what really, I mean, I'm a little bit exaggerating. She didn't really touch my genitalia, but, and I can say that word because it's in the script. We'll get to that. But yeah, so just a little anecdotal history. I appeared nude in the play. So here's how that went. The first night of the play. I have no idea what to expect, but we know we've sold it out. And we know the theater's full, and I'm backstage, and I'm waiting for the curtains to open. I'm, you know, me being behind the chair, nude on stage to do the intro narration, or the intro scene where basically something happens. I find the dead body behind the couch and call for everyone, and they all come in, and that's how the cast comes onto the stage. So I'm out there by myself, naked, waiting. The curtains open. I turn to face the audience and deliver my line, and the entire front row is the local girls' Catholic high school in their little skirts and their little socks and their little Oxford saddle shoes, you know. And I'm doing everything I can not to get an instant boner because there's 20 hot high school girls in the front row of the theater, and I'm flat naked on the stage. And there's
I have to interrupt you and say, Chris says this sounds like a friggin' nightmare.
Total friggin' nightmare, but it gets worse. So there's a girl looking down on the stage who can see all of me. I've just come out of makeup with a girl touching all of me, and now there are 20 hot little high school girls in the front row, and I'm 17 years old myself because I went to college early. And this was not going to go well. So I managed to stammer out my lines and get the lines delivered for the opening of the very first night. And we got through the show, and it got the standing ovation, and it was amazing. A couple of scenes where I actually had to be nude. There was a scene where I was behind the same couch, and there was a big clamor in the kitchen, which is my department as the houseboy and the cook. So I had to run off stage right, full nude, but I got to run. So I streaked across the stage quickly, full nude, little elephant trunk bouncing away as I ran away, you know.
Oh, no, 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 no.
What a nightmare, right? So I did all this, but I got to tell you, I got more dates that semester than I've ever had in my life.
Probably why you never noticed the makeup girl.
Yeah, that was basically it. And, you know, I'm not racist, but I also like what I like, and I happen to like, I've married two petite little brunette white girls, you know, that's what attracts me.
You happen to like little college Catholic girls.
Well, at the time I certainly did, and that was awkward. But that wasn't the most awkward thing that happened. The most awkward thing that happened was the third show on Wednesday night. So we did Monday through Saturday, I believe, was the run. And Wednesday night comes around. Now I've done it twice. We're on the third. You know, we've done Monday night, the Catholic girls. We got through it. Tuesday night, pretty uneventful. About half a theater full of college students and teachers and stuff, you know, came to the second show. Wednesday night comes along. The curtains open. 2 rows back, front and center, my parents had surprised me by arriving to see the play. Now, I had kind of told them, I was in the play, but they lived hours away, hundreds of miles away in Northern Virginia and UVA. Where I went, the campus I went, was not in Charlottesville, which is famous, but in another city in Southwest Virginia. There was an extension campus where I had chosen to go to live in the mountains instead of in a city to go to college. And so I'm about 7 hours from home, drive time. I didn't expect my parents to come, and I'd kind of downplayed it because of the nudity, which they didn't know about. I had not told them I was nude. So
that
now,
was my next question.
Yeah, so I didn't tell my parents I was nude in a play. I just told them I'm in a college play, you know, no big deal. Didn't expect them to come down for it. They surprised me by arriving in town, coming to the show. The curtain opens. I'm full nude. I'm looking out into the, you know, past the lights into the darkened theater, and I see my parents in the second row, and my dad is white. He's just ashen white, and my mother's jaw's on the floor, laughing, by the way. My mom's awesome. She was laughing her butt off. But they didn't know. I didn't know.
The question is, what was worse, seeing your parents or seeing that whole slew of little Catholic girls?
Well, my parents didn't give me a boner, let me tell you that much.
No.
Wow. So, yeah. And, you know, because remember, I told you I went to college when I was 17. So those girls in the front row were as old as 16 and 17 themselves. They were high school seniors that had come to the theater play, right? I don't think they brought the freshmen. I don't know. But it was girls my age and good-looking ones in those little plaid skirts. They all wore their uniforms because it was a field trip. So, right. I mean, you know, what... I don't know if it was a nightmare or a daydream. Sorry?
Sorry, I said I don't think I can top your story. I think probably the extent of my theater adventures were like Fiddler on the Roof doing the lights, right?
Yeah, Fiddler on the Roof. If I were a rich man, diddle-diddle-diddle-doo. Yeah, so good show, though. I love that musical.
Yeah, and I did end up dating the Tevye, the lead. He took me to prom. It was okay, right? I guess you get something out of it.
I went to a bunch of proms. I went to both my junior and senior, and I went to a couple of other girls' junior and senior proms that I was dating that were younger than me, that like in the same high school, but like I was a junior, they were a sophomore. When I became a senior, I went to their junior. You know, you get the idea. And
Right,
so I
that's how
went
it
to a
works, I
bunch
guess.
of proms for some reason, but none of them were theater people.
Theater people are fun to date, I mean, even when they're gay, because I think he was. But it was cool. We were friends. Like, you can't get much past that, but it was great. And then they always make it more fun because it's like less pressure, and he had all these fun ideas. But I don't think he knew he was gay at the time.
Well, it's funny
So
because I was just about to say before you said that it doesn't matter who you date in theater, you're probably going to get laid. And I mean, it doesn't matter who. It could be either side, as Sarge is saying, either team in
yeah.
the chat. So with that going on, we've all got theater backgrounds. Now you've done theater, I've done theater. Chris and Carrie, professionals who've studied it, gotten degrees in it, and worked in it professionally. We've got a lot of talent in this team that are working on Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, which is pretty awesome. And when you think about it, so at this point, we have the idea tonight is to play all 4 episodes that have been recorded to date, and we'll resume with episode 5 next week. I would love to have a giant audience here right now. I'm going to admit on the recording that we don't have a giant audience here right now, which means that we can make mistakes, and we're going to probably stop the recording and talk about things, and if Chris is listening and he wants to give any input along the way, we'll be happy to parrot for him what he has to say. Chris, the author of the scripts and an actor in the show himself and the producer of sound. He's
I have to
typing now.
say, some of Chris's intro and narration lines are pretty hilarious. I love the whole, like, it sounds like he's on a TV commercial from the 60s where he's like, and now back to Steam, or what, not Steam, Space Carrie and her adventures. Like, it's just perfect. He gets it every time.
Well, that's the intention. So, just to give a little background, when this idea came up, now LittleScribe joined the show in the 2nd episode, and before that, we had dreamed up this idea of doing theater on the radio. I've always had the idea, and I went to Carrie one night and I said, Carrie, now that you're on the Steam Star Network, I want to share with you an idea I've had ever since the beginning of my radio career on Steam. When I created the other station and this station, I've always wanted to do something like Saturday Night Live, where we'll make fun of things that happen on the network and the characters on the network, and we'll do skits about Steam stuff, and we'll call it like Steam Star Night Live. And my chair back keeps popping backwards and throwing me off. And do something like that. So she said, well, as a matter of fact, we're writing scripts and we want to do some theater ourselves. And it all just started to come together. So I named her show. She didn't quite know what to call her Monday show when she first started. I said, how about Mission Control Mondays? And she said, yeah, I can do a space theme. And I said, and we can do some theater. And she said, yeah. And it just happened by accident. So this wasn't something that they've been planning to do for years. This isn't something Chris had in his back pocket. These scripts get written every single week on the fly, like a Saturday Night Live episode. So to think about the fact that there's so much work that goes into them and how well they come out, and you'll hear them in just a few minutes when we begin to play the episodes, people. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and it happens really, really fast, Saturday Night Live style. Chris is writing scripts. Carrie's creating sound effects. They get us the scripts on like a Friday. We all record over the weekend. They put them back together into a formatted show by Monday, and we have them on the air Monday night. There's no latency or gap or room for error in producing these shows. And LittleScribe, do you find yourself, when you get those scripts in from Carrie every Friday, like just trying to find a hole in your day to record them that's going to be quiet and all that?
Yeah, I actually have to do it late when the kids are in bed, and I'll either go in I'll usually go in my closet because it has less echo. It's just the best soundproof place. And then I actually ended up just doing like a lame-o recording app on my phone, but it works great. So I send in my sound bites to Carrie, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're going for here, but here's how I see it. And then what she'll do is, and I leave like whatever 5 seconds between each line, so that she can have cut cushion on each side. And then she'll write back. I'm sure she does the same with you. And if not, I guess you're just too cool. But she'll write back and be like, actually, what I was going for here was a little more prissy or a little more French or a little more like the first one I did, she's like, you are way too quiet. And I was so embarrassed because I'm sitting here belting out in my closet in the middle of the night. And she writes back and she's like, you're way too quiet. You got to yell this stuff. So then I heard it on the radio and I was like, oh, wow, I really am quiet. I've really got to get that diaphragm in that. So I kind of, it's interesting, like the little things you learn just from getting the nice critique from Carrie. The other thing that's really interesting is that the characters do just kind of evolve as you go. So you sort of get a feel for what you want to do based obviously on the text and the context, but then you just sort of kind of get a feel for what you want to do. And it's so funny because when you were saying that you guys kind of just came together on the fly, I had no idea that you were a part of that. I actually just thought it was Carrie and Chris that came up with it. And I mean, I knew who you were.
It coincided together. So the Space Carrie's Adventure in Space idea, I'm not taking any credit for that. I made her show space themed by giving it a name before she started. And you'll notice, if you go back to the first Monday night shows, there was no mention of Space Carrie. That came up a couple weeks in.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, it's funny because I remember following her and just kind of listening to her stuff. And then she put out this feeler for voice artists. And I was like, well, I don't know. I've never really done voice acting, but sure, I'd love to be involved if you can squeeze me in. And then she writes back and she's like, actually, we were already working you into the script, like before I had even asked her. So I think it's like fate. We're meant to be.
Yeah, and it's a ton of fun to do. I was just kind of looking on my hard drive. I was going to try to quickly pull up one of my recordings that I send her to give people an idea of how we submit the sound. Because I have the same problem, and I'm going to address what you said. You don't know if she does the same thing with me. Way she does it is I get the script, and I sit in front of my audio app, which I use Audacity for this, and I'm shocked you do this on a telephone, by the way. And I record each line, and then I pause, and then I scroll down, and I'll record the next line. If I'm happy with it, I leave it alone. If I'm not happy with it, I'll try it 2 or 3 times until I get one I like. And then if there's something about the line that they didn't suggest or that I think I can improv and add to it a little bit, then I try to give her the original she asked for, and then I'll give her 1 or 2 more that are different. Example, there's a scene where someone says to me, you say to me as Tina, I can't believe they put you in charge of marketing for SteamStar. And I go, I am SteamStar. I created SteamStar. I made SteamStar everything that it was ever meant to be. It was all me that, remember that bit? So
yeah, I do. I remember you adding that.
Well, they ran the improv one. It's not played in the show as written, which was only about, I am SteamStar. I created SteamStar. And I went like 3 minutes of, I am SteamStar. I can't believe it. You just can't tell me I didn't, and I went nuts. And that's
that was the best
one they
rant.
ran
I
with.
loved it. It was the best.
Oh, rants are my specialty, baby.
It seems so natural.
Yeah, well, stick around Steam for a while. You'll be pretty ranty, too.
I already am. I just don't admit it, right?
So you're probably hearing the thunder in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, if we lose the feed and lose the sound, stick around because Carrie will try to jump. Carrie, good. Look at this. LittleScribe will try to jump back in and recover for us from her side if I lose electricity tonight. But we're going to try to muddle through. Perhaps it's time we actually ran some of this show. We're at 8:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means we're already 40 minutes into our 2-hour blog. And we've got about 4 episodes. Each of them run 10 to 14 minutes long. We may interrupt them and talk about them. And we may even go a little bit long just to get it all done because I'd like to make a nice recording of this Director's Cut Mystery Science 3000 style episode of Space Carrie's Adventures in Space. What do you think, LittleScribe? Should we run one of the shows?
Yeah, let's run show number 1.
Show number 1. I think that's a good place to start at the beginning. So, doe, a deer, a female deer. Wait, isn't that where you start at the very beginning?
Yeah, she goes, let's start at the very beginning.
There you go. Speaking of which, we're both singing a lot tonight. Be prepared because music is coming to space. In coming up episodes, you're going to hear us torturously trying to sing and torturing you because a little leak here, I'm just going to leak it. There will be some space opera in the space, musical stuff coming up. I'm a little scattered. So basically, Space Carrie's Adventures in Space began with a pilot episode, and the actual title on SoundCloud, to your point about Chris's voice sounding like you, and it's so cute how young you are. He sounded like someone from the 60s. Let me correct you. He sounds like someone from the 40s. Okay? The 60s, we were already doing the Beach Boys and stuff, you know. The 40s is when you got these radio dramas that the family would gather around the old wooden radio that was the size of your television now and listen to these things. The War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells, you know, that sort of time period. So that's the goal. Right. So we're trying to get, that's the whole point of the show. So it's apt of you to point out that Chris sounds like an old-time radio narrator. Because our goal for this is very Flash Gordon, very War of the Worlds, very Who's on First, old-time radio, comedy, drama, such of that type.
I love it, I love it, I love it.
So it's listed on SoundCloud as Space Carrie with a space in Space Carrie. See what I did there? And it's in the storytelling category. So without further ado, let's fire up episode 1, the pilot episode of Space Carrie's Adventures in Space. And now, the SteamStar Network is proud to present Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
The fine folks at SteamStar Network would like to remind you and your family to smoke SteamStar cigarettes. Ah, SteamStar, that smooth and delicious flavor.
SteamStar for your family. In a deep and remote corner of the galaxy, further than any earthern spaceman has ever aspired to fly in a rocket ship, lies the space desert of Galag Kerplathicus. Often described as the butthole of the universe, its planets are among the most desolate and unforgiving lands imaginable. They have sandstorms, ice storms, acid storms, even lava storms, but extremely cheap real estate. Flagula 7 is the largest planet of the 5 habitable Kerplathican planets, in the dingiest slum of its most massive metropolis, known as Space Dump. There is a tavern, where in the corner sits alone a beautiful and mysterious young traveler. She's been sitting quietly for a strangely long time, and the disgruntled Flagulan bartender squishes out from behind the bar and makes his way to her corner booth, leaving a slight trail of corrosive slime as he squishes.
Can I get you another space beer or what? Hey, lady, I'm talking to you.
Will the beautiful and mysterious young traveler order another space beer? Find out after this message.
To get you and your family from somewhere to somewhere else, try SteamStar brand spaceships. Now with 50% less explosions. Boom, baby.
SteamStar for your family. Meanwhile.
So let me stop it right there. And I just performed a commercial. And so I want to talk about that. Part of what we're going to do tonight is stop the episodes and chat about them. And unfortunately, LittleScribe, you won't be able to hear them in the show control booth. So you're going to need to run a feed, and then you'll be about 7 seconds behind. But when you know what part is coming up, just use your brain to go, hey, the thing I want to talk about is coming up, and hit the button.
That sounds good. I got the feed.
You got the rhythm. So, hi, Lena. Good to see you. Hi, Chris Roberts, the producer and sound creator and author of the scripts, and husband of CarrieAllen, who's here with us also at work. Sim Girl, you've joined us. Thank you. And hello, Sarge. Glad you're all here. I wanted to stop the show right there because we were talking a second ago about recording in a vacuum. We're sent the scripts. We do not gather together with the other actors and read our parts. We just read them cold into a microphone, doing the inflection, the intensity, the emotion, how we perceive them. And then you said earlier, LittleScribe, that sometimes you get notes back from Carrie to make some corrections, and I didn't respond to that. Let me respond to that now. I sucked at the commercials at first. I got feedback from her, and I had to do them more than once. I still am not happy with the first episode, and you're right. We developed our characters as we went along, You got the advantage of hearing an episode, but this first episode, I had no idea who Captain Cork was going to be, how he was going to sound. We had him put somewhere between Han Solo cool and Spaceballs stupid. And that's all I really had to work with. And
that's a pretty wide range.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to be funny and quipping and cool like Han Solo in Star Wars. I'm supposed to be a ladies' man like Captain Kirk, who I'm named somewhat after in, Star Trek. But I'm also supposed to be kind of stupid like whatever the captain's name is in Spaceballs, right? The, goofy space parody.
I gotta say, I think that was probably very well the best explanation of your character as I see him.
I don't think I could explain yours. It off. Really? Okay, that's cool, because as you hear these episodes unfold, you're going to hear me fall in and out of different voices. Sometimes he's very gothic. I'm Captain Cork, by God. And other times I'm just talking like me, because I don't know. And in some cases, it's intended to do that. Your line, where you go from your, very posh, very regal-sounding voice to your, and, I'm just going to do the thing and talk like myself part now. It works so well, but for me, it's unintentional. I have a really hard time figuring out this guy's voice.
I don't know. I think it's actually kind of comical that he sounds so much like you, because the voices that I've done, which frankly, my parts are a lot smaller, so it's easier for me to pull off. But the voices I've done are a little bit more extreme versions of maybe myself, whereas your character is something of a parody of you in a way. Like,
it's intended to be Captain Cork, and I made Steam Star, which is a reference, for those of you who don't know, to the fact that I created MSP Waves in MSP Pal. I left MSP Pal under differences of opinion, we'll call it. A flat-out argument was more accurate. And so I really burned a ton of my time, money, and effort building that first streaming station on the Steam platform, and now this second one. And I resent to a point that it's been co-opted and I've been forgotten, and it's never credited to me by anyone who uses that station that I built it. I'm not even too proud to say that. So there's this little jab at me, really, with that one line where I built Steam Star. It's actually, I built streaming on Steam. I made all the radio stations, and those suckers took it, and, and so that's where that's from. It is a parody of me.
I think people who know your history would get a chuckle out of that. I certainly did. And then there's the whole womanizing thing where you come in and there's these jokes about how you have all these women who you have a history of.
The Steam Star network has more boobs per radio station than any radio station on Steam, because we had all female hosts except for me.
I don't know why that is.
I'm not the HR department. Okay, yes, I am.
Probably because of that play that you were in when you were a freshman in college.
Oh, God, I'm sorry Lena missed that story before she got here. I'll have to tell her that one another time on the side.
Lena, you're not sorry you missed it, Lena.
Lena, I appeared nude in college in a play, and I told the story about that. Listen to the recording.
And he never had more dates.
What was that, Scribe?
Oh, I just said, and he never had more dates.
Well, that's the truth. I was popular in college after the nude play, but it's almost slipped into Captain Cork voice there. I was popular in college after the play. But, after that Transformer incident, when I got body swapped with Space Carrie, I really enjoyed my dates with myself.
I seriously, my favorite part of episode 3 when the body swap happened, and then she's like, quit looking down, those are mine.
I was playing with them. Stop touching them. Stop touching them.
Oh, I have a lot.
I'm over here laughing. Goodness gracious.
Okay.
When I got that script and I read that we had been body swapped, I had a hard time doing the recording that weekend because I had to have a lot of personal time thinking about the potentials. Man, can you imagine if you were suddenly given the opposite sex's body and it was like...
Actually, no, I totally thought about it. I was like, wait a minute.
Like, we're all adults here. It's after dark. We can talk about it. I'd play with myself. You can damn well bet on it.
Did you really have some alone time after that?
No. I'm saying if I became a woman temporarily from a transporter accident, you can damn well bet I'd take advantage of it and do some exploring in space.
In space.
I'm just saying. I'm an honest man. Anyway.
I feel like that's every high school boy's like fantasy. Like any guy I ever talked to in high school. Oh, I wish I could just have a girl's body for a day. I'm like, well, okay, let's just pick the day then. You see how you feel about it then.
Well, as long as it's not just the wrong day of the month, that's all.
Exactly.
Well, or during pregnancy, or basically while trying to get a job or get paid. But anyway.
Or getting PMSing.
Yeah, pretty much ever. So yeah, you're right. I don't ever want to be a girl. On the other hand, what if you were a guy? What if you were a guy and you suddenly had a baseball bat?
I know. I thought about that too. I was sitting with my husband. We were listening to that. And I'm like, what would I do? Like, I would probably enjoy that for a few minutes.
I need to correct Phoenix, who just said, what the fuck? I just got back, and the first thing I hear is, I play with myself. You can bet on that. No. Play the tape slow. I would play with myself. You can bet on that. If I had a girl's body. I also would probably become a stripper or something really fast and go get tons of money selling out my body because I could. And I got to figure that dancing to a silly pop song on a pole is a lot better than the way I make my money now, minus the drugs, the seedy people, the part with ugliness and all that, than working in tech, which is super stressful, man. If all I had to show up somewhere and take off my clothes and get handed dollar bills, sign me the hell up.
Are you serious? No way, man. I had a friend in college who did that, though. She made like $400 a night.
That's what I'm saying, man. I've never made that in my career.
Yeah, she did pretty good.
All right, so we've stopped at a commercial. I think that's a good idea. I'll stop after the commercials, LittleScribe. That way, if you're listening on the stream, you'll know that I've stopped it. I've come on and started talking, and that way you can run with the stream and know where we are in the show, even though you can't hear it here in the booth. Will that work?
Yeah.
All right, so let's resume Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, pilot episode 1. We've just hit the first commercial break. 2 minutes in, it's a 7-minute show, a 9-minute, 10-minute show. I can't quite read the numbers on the end of this SoundCloud file, but let's resume Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, episode 1.
File back on Flagula 7.
I've had enough.
Hey, I tell you when you've had enough and you ain't had enough. You only had one drink and that was 3 space hours ago. It's our strict policy not to underserve.
I'm waiting for someone.
Yeah, look, lady, this ain't the intergalactic spaceport. Talk about waiting. I once had to wait 23 space days there to pick up my wife when she was coming back from her Mary Kay convention. Unbelievable. Apparently their ship slipped into a rogue wormhole, and they kind of stretched out time or something. I don't know crap about that crap. Hell of an inconvenience. Lost my job. That's how I ended up working in this crap.
You have Mary Kay here?
Oh, yeah. For the first few space years, they were going by Space Mary Kay, but after a while, they figured everybody got it, and they dropped the space. But that led to some mass confusion with the females on a couple of the other planets. Bada bing, bada boom, you got the Mary Kay Wars. They went on for 5 space years, destructive and bloody as all hell, but it made my wife's sales go through the roof. So you want another drink or what?
Do you have orange juice?
No way! And you couldn't afford it if we did. Space beer coming up!
As the bartender begins to squish away, an extraordinarily sinister-looking man appears in the doorway, sucking the metaphorical air from the room.
Best sound effect ever.
He wears a long coat, a long beard, and an eye patch, quietly surveying the room as all eyes are transfixed on him. After a time, he speaks.
ER, take 5, Kevin. Kevin's me minstrel. Follows me around, poor fellow. Playin' me merry tunes where'er I go. He's the only one I've got left after the great minstrel slaughterin' of last year. One of ye is here for me. But I found ye first, for Spacebeard runs from no man. Show yourself, bounty hunter.
It's true! The sinister-looking man is none other than Spacebeard, the most infamous and brutal space pirate in all of Galog Kerplathicus. An unstoppable criminal with a huge bounty on his head, but notorious for making bounty hunters disappear. The young traveler in the corner stands up to face the pirate.
Then you can still run, because I'm no man.
It's true! She is no man! This mysterious young traveler is none other than Space Carrie!
Space Carrie!
An extraordinary hero whom not very many people have heard of yet.
Space Carrie!
But soon the tales of her magnificent space deeds would echo through living rooms across the galaxy. Space Carrie!
Space Carrie!
Of all the bounty hunters, is up for the challenge of taking down Spacebeard. She throws back her hood and brandishes her laser sword. Not a lightsaber, but a laser sword.
Yar, a woman! A woman tracks me down, thinks to bring me in, perhaps to kill me. We'll see what happens when we cross laser swords.
The terrible atrocities you've committed have condemned you here today, and you are a fool to underestimate me. I am Space Carrie.
Space Carrie!
Yar, what makes ye think ye can just put space at the beginning of your name? You have to earn that. I mean, think about what it means. You basically have to be the quintessential space version of your name. And what have you done to earn that? I slaughtered millions, even destroyed a whole planet once. And do you know how hard I have to work to maintain this magnificent beard? You wouldn't understand. Let's fight to the death.
And fight to the death they shall. But first, this message from our favorite brand, SteamStar.
Are you tired of all that pesky radioactive waste sitting around your home? Call the fine experts at SteamStar Radioactive Waste Removal Services, and they'll take care of it for you. But mutations are irreversible, so act fast.
SteamStar for your family.
So, in that scene, you all recognize that we're basically parodizing the Space Cantina in Star Wars. And Space Carrie is introduced by coming into the room wearing a cloak and carrying a laser sword, not a lightsaber, but a laser sword. And she meets the space pirate, whom she proceeds to get into a fight to the death with. Now, the space pirate has his minstrel, who's left with him, named Kevin. Kevin never speaks during any of the shows. He's a character in the show every episode, but he only uses music to communicate because he can't speak. So that little development is the kind of genius that Chris Roberts brings to the show. How many of you would have written a script and thought to include a character who actually is not a person that speaks a script, but is just simply sound effects? And yet, Kevin develops an entire personality through the multiple episodes. Did you catch that bit, LittleScribe, with Kevin? And have you really ever thought about just how smart Chris Roberts is to create a character like that? Because I think it's genius.
I actually have. As a matter of fact, it's the third person dialogue that gives him his character, along with the fact that he always tends to play the music that's the most suitable for the environment. And I mean, can you give it to the guy? Because he can play pretty much anything. Kevin, I mean. I love him. He's one of my faves.
Yeah, we don't really ever get into the fact that Kevin seems to have an entire orchestra and capability to play basically anything from synth pop to symphonic.
Like pulls it out of his carpet bag.
Boof, and he's playing a harmonica, and the next thing you know, it's like an orchestra. And next thing you know, it's whatever boppy jingle music, which. This is great.
You did notice how on the head swapping episode that the music he was playing was like porn star music?
Oh yeah, that's in the script. And it's boom chicka wow wow kind of stuff, you know. Actually, is that when the head swap happens or when I meet Lydia?
Oh, right. No, hold on.
So we'll get to
Yeah,
that. We'll get to that
was Lydia.
in
Yeah.
another episode. So let's run this episode out. It's only got about a couple of minutes left in this one, 7 to 9 minutes. We got about 2 minutes left in this episode, and we'll wrap up Space Carrie's Adventures in Space 1. So this is character introduction. My audio quality is terrible. The commercials sound like I'm in some kind of a vacuum cleaner recording, you know, and so we work on those things. I do a lot of noise reduction stuff on my recordings now. The quality improves. One of my favorite comedy shows on television is Trailer Park Boys, and if you ever go watch those episodes from the very beginning, there's a lot of improv comedy that goes on, but the characters in episode 0 are mediocre. By 6 seasons in, they're amazing. So we're hoping people will follow the show, and that at some point in the future, coming back to these recaps like we're doing tonight, people will be like, wow, Captain Cork really sucked at his job on the first episode, but now he's fully refined his voice and his delivery and so on. You came in like a wrecking ball. When I heard your first recordings, and when I heard the show with you in it, and your voice for Tina, I just sat back and thought, holy crap, we've got a superstar here, LittleScribe. It was really good.
Aw, thanks. You know what? It's probably all the practice I have having an ex-husband. I think that's what helps.
I think actually our dynamic of you being my ex-lover and us having that, I was really the most comfortable with the lines talking to you because I've been married twice. My first marriage was 14 years and it ended because she left me. My second marriage was a rebound that lasted about a month, no joke, 3 weeks actually. After dating for a while, but we got married and then it just didn't work when we cohabitated, and 3 weeks later we separated and quit, got it annulled basically. And in that case was mutual, but so there was no anger in the second one, but the first one came with a whole lot of contempt on both sides. And so when I talk to you as Tina and Captain Cork, it's very much driven by, all right, Tina, you fucking bitch. You know.
I totally love it. And I actually kind of went to this, I have to say, seedy place in the soul where I'm coming out and I'm like this Cirque du Soleil French, sort of like a...
Well, you're an android, right? You have a head with like a tank for a body, right?
Yeah, and then she's something of a prima donna. And then on top of that, she's always doing things to get you back in her life, right? So then when she does see you, she's awfully bitter about the fact that it's been so long, but then doesn't want to admit it out loud, and then has this like, oh, well, nice to see you.
Well, I think we're going to find that you get introduced pretty quickly in the next episode. So let's get to it. I'm going to finish this one up, and we'll talk about Space Carrie's Adventures in Space episode 2.
First, let these people go.
Yar, these people are my hostages now. Nobody move. I don't care if I accidentally kill these people, Space Carrie. Do you?
Space Carrie! Spacebeard draws his laser sword and charges at Space Carrie with surprising speed. The two exchange laser sword blows. Space Carrie determined to protect the innocents, and Spacebeard determined to destroy as much as possible.
Yar, ye never should have come to Flagula 7, little girl. This is my domain.
I rarely do things that I should.
The fight rages on, and after several minutes of intense and dramatic laser sword dueling, Space Carrie's foot is on the chest of Spacebeard, who is lying, stunned, unconscious on the floor. Miraculously, no one in the tavern is harmed. Our hero, Space Carrie, has defeated the infamous space pirate Spacebeard and saved dozens of innocent lives.
Hooray!
Turn him into the local law. I'm sure he'd want to be imprisoned in his own domain.
Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
With justice served and the people safe, Space Carrie walks out of that little tavern in the slums of Space Dump on the planet Phlegula 7. Where the other 6 Phlegulas are, she doesn't know, but it probably doesn't matter. She needs to somehow reach the Office of Interplanetary Justice to claim her bounty, but she has no ship. How will Space Carrie ever get out of Phlegula? Let alone Galog Carplathicus. What trials and challenges await our hero? Find out next week on Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
So that was episode 1, the pilot episode of Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, with some commentary by LittleScribe and I. And we're going to keep rolling through 2, 3, and 4 and talk about them during the commercial breaks. One of the things that I came away with at the end of this is I recorded my lines, I sent them in, and you guys out there in the audience may not realize this, but LittleScribe and I don't actually get to hear the show until you do. So because the schedule is so quick, we get our lines on Friday, we record over the weekend, we give them to Carrie, she sends back requests for changes. I didn't like the one you did for the 3rd line, do it again, okay? We do that, we submit our lines, she takes them, they assemble the show, they do the sound effects, they create the intros, outros, and so on. We don't get to hear it until Monday night, like the rest of you. So every time I hear these, it's like hearing them for the first time. And one of the things I realized after hearing these episodes was that I want to move over to Chris and Carrie's house because it's got to be a riot to live with these two. When I hear them sing the jingles together and the musical capabilities they have, and I've got to imagine just like taking a road trip in the car with these two is entertaining as hell.
I know. I think we should all take a road trip over to Colorado.
Oh yeah, definitely we go to Colorado rather than bring them to us because they got the weed, man.
Yes.
All right, I think everybody on Steam smokes the pot. And I know that AnCat Barbie right now is typing smoke weed every day, which is her tagline here in the channel. We should keep moving because we're now at the top of the hour. We're 1 hour in and only 1 show down with 3 to go. I think the next 2 episodes, I'm going to probably interrupt it less, let them play, and we'll talk in between. So I'm going to play the whole episode this time, LittleScribe. Do you agree? It's 11.5 minutes long.
Sounds good to me.
Unless you want me to stop at any point, then just cue me, as we talked about, and I'll stop so you can interject. I'm going to let this episode play out because this episode is where all of us are in the show together. And I think that this is where we hit our stride in the, of understanding what we were doing here on technical production, on submitting our lines, who our characters are, you join the show. And this one, I think, compared to the first one, shows an exponential increase in quality. And they do each episode that goes on. You ready for me to start it? Or do you have anything you want to add about episode 2?
Yeah, I'll just add quickly. I think Carrie's expertise increases as well because she's kind of getting down pat on the sound effects and the fades and transitions.
Yep, I agree. So I think that you'll enjoy this episode, Space Episode 2, Space Carrie's Adventures in Space. Here we go.
And now, the Steam Star Network is proud to present
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space. Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Are you looking for lasers? SteamStar has lasers. Lasers of all shapes and sizes. Utility lasers, farming lasers, education lasers. Lasers, lasers, lasers. Lasers for your family. Lasers for your friends. Cosmetic lasers, decorative lasers, discounted lasers, even safety lasers for the little ones. SteamStar for all your laser needs.
SteamStar for your family.
as we return to the slums of Phlegula 7, where Space Carrie has just defeated the brutal space pirate Spacebeard. We see a ruggedly handsome man and his robotic companion running for their lives. They are being chased by hoverbots, which are gaining on them with each passing moment.
Boy, we're in a real pickle here. Can't you roll a little faster, Henry?
Eat poop. I am currently traveling at my maximum velocity, searching alternative evasion techniques. Eat poop.
Crap, if we get out of this alive, we're going straight to the scrapyard to get you some new wheels.
Eat poop. My memory banks show that you had the opportunity to upgrade my wheels on multiple occasions. Maybe when you were joyriding around the Divergent Nebula with the Princess of Zoobly you should have thought about Henry's wheels. Eat boot.
Give me a break, and remind me later to adjust your nagging function. I've got it! Deploy voice balls!
Eat boot. Excellent idea, Captain. Eat boot.
From a small compartment on Henry the Robot's back, there emerge several flying orbs of light. These voice balls begin speaking simultaneously, saying various things in the voice of the captain. The chattering voice balls begin to scatter about the street, confusing the auditory tracking systems of the pursuing hoverbot, and buying the fugitives some precious time.
It's working! This is our chance! Henry, give it all you've got!
Eat boot. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. Eat boot.
I've escaped tighter spots than this one. I'll get off this planet one way or another, or my name isn't Captain Cork.
Captain Cork!
I once evaded an entire army of Dragofontanians on nothing more than a space scooter. I'm pretty sure I can outsmart a company of flegulant hoverbots shooting at me with lasers.
Captain Cork!
If I can just find a way back to the steam starship, we'll be home free. Remember, Henry, in that ship, I made the Kessel Run in less than 10 parsecs, making that cocky Han Solo eat his words.
Captain Cork!
Eat boot. The hoverbots have blasted the voice balls and are pursuing us again. Duck. Eat boot.
Jeez, that one nearly vaporized me.
Will Captain Cork come to a sad, vaporized ending on Flegula 7? The situation is bleak for the captain and his robot companion, Henry. Will they ever make their way to the steam starship? Find out after this!
With SteamStar Multi-Purpose Space Goo, you can be sitting pretty and living that good space life that you've always dreamed of. SteamStar brand Multi-Purpose Space Goo is the #1 preferred space goo of families across the galaxy. So pick up a drum today from the ambiguous space items aisle of your favorite space retailer.
SteamStar for your family.
As Captain Cork and Henry, his robot companion, continue running from the police hoverbots of Flegula 7, our hero, Space Carrie, wanders the streets, looking for a way off of the bleak desert planet.
Space Carrie!
Spacebeard's only remaining minstrel, Kevin, has decided to now follow Space Carrie, who is unsure whether or not she has room for musical accompaniment in her busy and adventurous life.
All right, Kevin, I get that you're happy to be free from Spacebeard, but what's your game here? That's a terribly sad story, Kevin. I had no idea. And you were born without a tongue, so you can only converse through music? Wow, that's deep, Kevin. I hope you find what you're looking for. Until then, you can travel with me. First things first, we need to get off this filthy planet before we run into trouble. Now, the spaceport is only a few blocks away, but I don't have access to a ship. That is easier said than done, Kevin. Are you crazy? We'd be sitting space ducks.
Just then, Captain Cork and Henry emerge from an adjacent alley at breakneck speed, slamming into Space Carrie and Kevin, creating a motley dog pile of humans, robots, and musical instruments. The four scramble to get to their feet as laser fire in the distance grows steadily closer.
What the? Watch where you're going. You'll never outrun them. Now, get up. Look out.
Danger.
That's true, Kevin. Quick, get that robot back on its wheels.
Beep doot, that robot has a name, and that name is Henry. Beep doot.
Why are there so many police hoverbots chasing you?
That's a long story. But for now, let's just say they can have my lasers when they pry them from my cold, dead hands.
You have lasers?
Heck, yes I do. I'm a laser salesman, as a matter of fact. Captain Cork, for all your laser needs.
You're a captain, so you have a ship.
Sure do. Fastest ship in the galaxy. Did the Kessel Run.
Shut up! Why aren't you using your lasers now?
Why didn't I think of that?
As the laser-blasting hoverbots draw closer, Captain Cork in a flash produces 2 small hand lasers from concealed ankle holsters. He stands and faces the hoverbots. With a chilling battle cry, he begins to fire with both lasers.
Yeah!
Will Captain Cork vanquish the hoverbots and escape with his life? Will Space Carrie join forces with the Captain? Will Kevin the Minstrel and Henry the Robot be friends? Learn the answers to these questions and more after this message from our favorite brand, SteamStar.
Have you enrolled your toddler in jetpack lessons yet? Studies show that toddlers trained in jetpack travel exhibit a boost in cognitive development up to 100% greater than from traditional pre-education programs. Get your toddler airborne today with licensed jetpack training courses from SteamStar's Jetpack Division. Zoom!
SteamStar for your family.
Back in the slums of Flagula 7, the blasts from Captain Cork's superior quality SteamStar brand lasers
SteamStar for your family.
reduce all the pursuing hoverbots to a pile of smoking and squealing robo-garbage.
You are absolutely right, Kevin. Thanks to the captain here and his concealed lasers, we're all going to be okay.
Hooray!
Beep doot. Of course, if he had simply turned his lasers in at customs like every guest is required to do, we never would have been chased by those second-rate hoverbots in the first place. Beep doot.
Relax, Henry. The point is, my SteamStar lasers saved the day once again. More hoverbots will be coming quick. We should move. But first, introductions are in order. How about the mysterious young lady here goes first?
I'm Space Carrie.
Space Carrie!
And I have a proposition for you.
I'm on my way out of this dump, and I'm not looking for work.
I think you want to hear me out.
Space Carrie proceeds to tell the tale of her heroic victory over Spacebeard and of the enormous bounty currently owed to her by interplanetary justice. Captain Cork agrees to take Space Carrie in his spaceship to retrieve the bounty in exchange for a share for himself.
We'll get you to that bounty, or my name isn't James T. Cork.
What does the T stand for?
T.
Right. What does it stand for?
No. T-E-E-T.
Oh, that's weird.
Beep doot. Here we go again. Beep doot.
Can I call you Jim?
No. James is already my nickname.
What is James short for?
Jimothy.
So your name is Jimothy T. Cork?
Captain Jimothy T. Cork, at your service.
The party begins to feel a strange teleporty sensation as they witness their bodies begin to dematerialize. They're being transported. But where?
Whoa, what are you doing, Jimothy?
I thought you were doing something. Somebody's transporting us.
Beep doot. I hate teleporting. Beep doot.
You're right, Kevin. Hold on, everyone. We have to be ready for anything on the other side.
What surprises await our heroes when they rematerialize on the other side, wherever that may be? Someone is manipulating the very molecules of their bodies, but who? Will Space Carrie and Captain Cork ever make it to the Steam Starship? Find out next week on Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space. Steam Star for your family.
So, episode 2, Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, leaves us about to meet Tina, LittleScribe's character. So that's where she gets introduced. We don't mention her name, and I misspoke at the beginning and said you'd be introduced in that episode. Theoretically, you are about to be.
Hey, just a little nuance there. We won't hold it against you.
Well, in that episode, you already heard us starting to develop our characters a little better, but I don't think Carrie has yet found her voice. She finds it as we go along in 3, I think. In that one, she still sounds like Carrie. Like, that's weird, and a few lines like that she makes just sound like Carrie. And to a point, she doesn't over-dramatize Space Carrie. The rest of us are all very dramatic, and she's intended to be this sort of reasonable person in the middle of it all, I think.
Right. And then I think she kind of gets a little sassier as she goes along, but she still stays pretty level-headed.
Well, when you think about her, so obviously we're taking some satire and parody of famous, space things like Star Wars and Star Trek and all the other things. And I think, obviously the parallel between me and somewhere between Captain Kirk and Han Solo, and at some point I start cracking jokes about, Han Solo, right? I'm like, well, my ship can get you there. I beat that pesky Han Solo in the Parsec race and all that kind of stuff. And she's definitely playing Carrie Fisher, as Princess Leia. And Princess Leia in Star Wars, in episode 4, the first movie, right? She's very sort of princessly, I don't know how to say that, royal. And there's moments when she's talking to Vader and doing things and talking to R2-D2. Help us, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope, And then she gets pretty sassy in the later films as well. Her character turns a little more zing jokes and picking on Han Solo and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically picking on you the whole time.
Right. So that definitely is following suit to some of the things that we're making fun of as well. And but again, in this episode, the sound quality got a little better. The recordings that I'm producing get a little bit higher quality and mesh in with the others without such a jarring swap in the echo factor and noise factor on the recordings. So we got a little better in episode 2. Is there anything, you weren't in episode 2, but I don't know if you have any feedback about what's going on. You're about to come onto the stage in episode 3.
Yeah, I think this is when it just starts to pick up momentum. So I think you guys laid some pretty good groundwork for me. It made it easy.
Yeah, so by now you've got some sampling of what's going on and what the environment is like. One thing I'd like to point out is Chris. We've talked a lot about Chris, and we haven't talked so much about Carrie. Now, Carrie, of course, does all the production work. She's the one driving us to get our job done and get the lines to her and doing the assembly of it all. But Chris has done some things that I think he just deserves a ton of credit for, like developing an entire universe. Already by episode 2, I'm starting to understand what Kerplathicus and Phlegula look like and feel like, and the environmental, the things that aren't said out loud, the where we are and what space. I can visualize it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, thanks to the detail he puts in.
Well, and I think we owe a lot of that to Carrie too, because she spends like dozens of hours on these darn things. And I call that dedication, I gotta say, because you're not going to get a ton of traffic when you're starting out. So, but I totally believe in the show. I think these guys are great, and I think Carrie is very dedicated to her work, as is Chris, and I think it shows.
Yeah, and they're also gluttons for punishment, because I'm gonna leak another bit of information. I've already leaked one thing, that there will be music in future episodes, not just the musical character Kevin, but all of us. But something else that's on the horizon is a Western. And so I say I'm going to go ahead and leak those things without permission, because we need to start finding some characters and some actors. And we're always calling out on every show. If you're interested in being a part of this, then let us know. If you've got some chops, if you've got some practice at any kind of theater, we don't have time to teach you how to do it. for these episodes. They're literally produced in a week. They're written, recorded, produced, mixed down, and presented in about 4 to 5 days. So we don't have time to teach you how to work your microphone, and we don't have time to teach you how to take noise reduction and apply it to your recordings, and we don't have time to teach you how to act. But we do want to try to produce a high quality piece of content here. So if you have a background in this sort of thing or a passing interest in it, and you think you've got the skills to read effectively, pronounce words, and create a character, then we can probably integrate you. I'm going to go out on a limb. There are some plans for the upcoming episodes, but we could go 2, 3 seasons, 4 seasons. We haven't really defined when this season will end. We're thinking 6 or 8 episodes, like the real world, and then we'll call it season 2, and so there's another character coming soon. I believe that Crazy BG Adventure, who's one of our show hosts on the channel, who has a very unique European high register male voice, is going to be joining the show in a surprising character role for him.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And all the voices we've had thus far have been fabulous. I have to interject here and welcome Zingali for coming on the show. Thanks for joining us in. He comes from my channel, so we're really happy to have him here as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome, Zingali. Hi again, Simgirl, and everyone else who's joined us who I've already read. Hi, Leonis. Lena, we're going to make you miss us. For those of you who don't know, Lena DR is in the audience tonight. She was one of our very original Steam Star show hosts. She's kind of pulled off the internet a little bit and doing some stuff in the real world with her art and stuff, but we miss her tremendously, and we hope that one day, even if you don't come back and do a full-blown show, love to see you do a walk-on in space. We could transport you in and transport you right back out to the real world, Lena. Think about it. Because your voice, darling, was why I brought you onto the radio in the first place, and I heard you in PYPT on a Thursday and said, you with the voice, get over here. And you started doing one of our most popular shows on Sunday nights with Lena DR's Cabinet of Curiosities, all about supernatural, strange, unexplained phenomena and things.
Ooh,
yeah, those episodes are still on the chain. Feel free to go listen to Lena's sexy, sultry Lena-ness over on her old blogs. And Lena, please consider doing a guest appearance on Space Carrie one night. Well, maybe we can have you do some commercials, or I'll the Steam Star guy that I am, which you're about to find out about, is as the creator of the Steam Star network here, but I'm talking about the one in the show, the Steam Star products, the Steam Star for Your Family company, could use maybe to hire somebody because I'm not doing it well or something. We'll come up with a way to give you a bit part. I'd love to get your voice on this show, so keep that in mind. Little shout out.
Says that she'll be a robot dominatrix, so maybe she and Tina can run.
A robot dominatrix. I'm gonna need a little personal time again. Anyway, yeah. Goodness gracious. So let's get into an episode that includes LittleScribe. As we're doing now, we have 33 minutes left, and there's 22 minutes left. 24. Let's see, 10, 25, 26. There's about 27 minutes of show on tape left to go, and we're 33 minutes before the end of the 2 hour scheduled ending of this show. So we're only going to run over by a tiny little bit, LittleScribe, if we just keep trucking. I know we're going to talk a little bit more after your introduction in this episode. So without further ado, should we get it started?
Sounds good.
Here we go. Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, Episode 3, where my co-host here on the special edition recap producer's cut, minus the producer and director themselves, but with 2 of the actors from the show, Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, Episode 3, introducing LittleScribe's part, Tina.
And now, the Steam Star Network is proud to present Space Carrie's Adventures in Space!
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Have you or a loved one fallen victim to a transporter malfunction? You may be entitled to compensation. A transporter malfunction can occur when you least expect it, leaving your family to clean up the mess. Let SteamStar's incredible legal team help in your time of need. With a combined 40 space years of experience, SteamStar specializes in teleportation law. We'll take your case to the Intergalactic Teleportation Commission, never resting until the ITC agrees to the compensation your family deserves. Lost a limb? Don't lose your life savings too. Call SteamStar today.
Steam Star for your family.
Last week on Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, Space Carrie joined forces with the mysterious Captain Cork of the steam starship after Captain Cork's handy lasers saved them both. Now, as the world around our heroes fades away, their essences are flung into the desolate realm of the matrix of teleportation. Only moments before, Captain Cork had blasted the pursuing police hoverbots of Flagula 7 to robo-smithereens. Knowing that more hoverbots would quickly take their place, Space Carrie and Captain Cork had joined forces in their effort to leave the planet. With the help of the steam starship, they thought that a simple quick flight would get them to interplanetary justice, where a huge bounty awaited Space Carrie. They were wrong. Just as they began to make their escape, our party was targeted by a rogue transporter beam and began to dematerialize.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Beep boop. Robots weren't meant to dematerialize. The teleportation matrix never puts my parts back in the right order. Beep boop.
Relax, Henry. I've done this 1,000 times. It leaves me constipated as hell, but I get where I need to go. We'll get your parts back in order on the other side.
I've never been teleported against my will before. I feel so violated.
You'll be fine. Hey, there's my friend Carl. He's an intergalactic space courier, so he pretty much lives in here. Hi, Carl. Not tonight, Carl. I'm in the middle of something. Have a lap dance for me, buddy.
Space Carrie feels a bit nauseous as her insides begin to rebuild themselves, hopefully in the right order. A growing light in the distance of the teleportation matrix beckons the party back to the third dimension, and strange music begins to play.
Are you making that music, Kevin?
Space crap. I think I know where it's coming from. Hope I'm wrong.
But Captain Cork isn't wrong. As the four companions are flung out of the teleportation matrix onto a cold metal floor, they are surrounded by colorful lights and overly cheerful music. They seem to be in a massive spaceship. As they get to their feet, they behold a towering cyborg, a huge armored tank with an attractive female head coming out of the top. With a grotesquely amplified voice, the head begins to speak.
Welcome to Cirque du Space, the greatest show in the universe!
Well, hello, Tina. What's it been? 5 space years? Still love the circus, I see.
This circus is my one true passion, and
actually, it's been 6 space years and 34.5 space days since our last meeting. Hello, James. You're looking well.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. After all these space years, can't we just let bygones be space bygones? I mean, sure, I'm not completely without blame, and I'm not gonna say I've got no regrets. But, honey, you were just on a path that I couldn't follow.
What in the 7 space hells is going on here?
Beep boop. Captain Cork's trail of baggage stretches across galaxies. Beep boop.
Yes, we can talk about that later, Henry. Tina, this is Space Carrie.
Space Carrie!
Space Carrie, this is Tina, my former lover.
Would you be so kind as to introduce my whole title?
Come on, Tina. That's not the way I remember you. And honestly, as a person who remembers your, human form, it's a little humiliating to have to go through with...
Silence! My whole title. Like you mean it.
Fine. Space Carrie, I'd like to present the immortal cyborg clown overlord of the circus planet Barnum 4. The titanic terror of hilarity, the supreme psycho sideshow destroyer of planets, tormentor of humanity, and enemy of all genitalia.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
Queen Tina Tyrannica.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Space Carrie. And Thank you, James, for that lovely introduction. I'm glad you remembered the order after all these space years.
How could I forget? You know as well as I do why I left. I just couldn't get on board with the whole enemy of all genitalia thing, and you tried one too many times to disembody my brain. You understand, don't you, Tina?
Beep boop. Can we please get to the point here? Beep boop.
Silence the primitive robot!
Cyborgs hate robots. Better lay low, Henry.
Beep boop. Rude. Beep boop.
Nice to meet you, Tina. To what do we owe the pleasure of today's surprise teleportation?
I have need of your captain.
What sinister plans does the scorned cyborg queen have in store for Captain Cork and his friends? Will her massive space lair become a tomb for our heroes? Find out after this message from our sponsor, SteamStar.
SteamStar for your family.
Looking for a way to heat up your tasty SteamStar prepackaged meals that's quick and easy? Try SteamStar's Vortex Cooker, harnessing the power of vortices for the convenience of your family. Trust us, the best way to cook anything is in a vortex.
SteamStar for your family.
As we return to Cirque du Space, the massive space lair of the cyborg queen Tina Tyrannica, we find our heroes in a prison cell, guarded by a number of Tina's cyborg goons. Henry the robot is attempting to realign his thorax, while Kevin the minstrel plays a captive's tune.
Oh, cheer up, Captain. It could be worse. She told us we'd be free if we'd just give her what she wants.
She only wants your lasers, James. Everybody always wants your lasers. You're only as good as your lasers.
Snap out of it, Captain. The cyborg queen has obviously triggered some horrible spiral of doubt and self-loathing. But I need you to get a grip. Kevin needs you. Henry needs you. We need to get out of here and get back to the Steam Starship. And you're the only one with the keys. So the giant cyborg lady wants your laser technology. Who cares? She'll probably vaporize herself anyway.
I guess that's true. I mean, we say our lasers are safe, but that 2% backfire rate always causes problems.
I know. And they're basically death traps.
And they do tend to spontaneously combust.
You bet they do. So what do you say, champ?
Beep boop. I think you should do it, Captain. It seems these cyborgs want to kill me. Beep boop.
It's true, Henry. They all want to destroy you. Cyborgs are well known for their endless hatred of robots. All right, we'll make the deal. And now, how to escape from this prison cell?
We just need to tell the guards that we're ready. I think she only put us in here to keep her cyborg clowns from ripping Henry apart.
Guys, take us to your leader. And the adventure continues for Captain Cork and Space Carrie.
Beep boop. And Henry. Beep boop.
And of course, Kevin, our ever-present musical accompanist.
Now, the party appears once again in the high court of the cyborg queen Tina Tyrannica, where the circus never ends. Captain Cork is prepared to comply to her demands, sharing the secret SteamStar laser technology in exchange for the freedom of he and his friends.
I'm glad you can finally see the potential in our partnership. Go ahead and upload all laser data right here into my mainframe, if you would.
I don't have it on me. You think I just carry classified tech data around on a space drive in my pocket? Come on, Tina. I'm captured by someone or another every other week. I'd have lost it for sure by now.
Silence! I thought you'd have some fancy device that would just give me what I need right when I needed it. Ugh. I guess that's too much to ask. I can't believe SteamStar ever put you in charge of their marketing division.
What? I am SteamStar. I'm the original and the best. I basically built SteamStar from the ground up, with my bare hands, with my own blood, sweat, and tears, with all of my backbone, with everything I've got. I gave it my all. I am
Relax,
SteamStar.
everyone. Can't we just send the data after we get back to the Steam Starship?
You know, I think we could. Yes, I could space mail it to you.
space mail? That doesn't sound reliable.
Actually, you'd be surprised, with all the transporter malfunctions. Speaking of which, SteamStar offers litigation for transporter malfunctions.
Silence!
Very well. You will return to the SteamStar ship, then space mail me the laser data, leaving only one of the terms of our agreement.
Oh yeah, the other term.
You must agree to 5 exclusive performances over the next 2 years as my amazing laser human! I'll call you when you're needed.
Sure. Just let me know. Well, it was great catching up, Tina.
Likewise, and pleased to meet you as well, Space Carrie. It was a relief that I did not have to slaughter you. Now, you all better go. It seems my cyborgs would like to destroy your disgusting robot.
Beep boop. Unbelievably rude. Beep boop.
Farewell, travelers, until your first performance.
And with that, our heroes' essences are flung yet again into the teleportation matrix. Only this time, their destination is none other than the steam starship itself. It looks like smooth space sailing from here for Space Carrie and her friends. Or is it? Yes, it is. Or is it? Find out next time on Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space.
Steam Star for your family.
And
Yeah, it's awesome. When you deliver that operatic falsetto line, it sends shivers down my spine, LittleScribe.
I gotta say, it seems like we've got the traditional background music for each character going on. I think Carrie pulls that off really well. And then my fave transition is definitely the Batman. The
Yeah, that Batman thing was really popular during the airing of the show, the original time. Everybody caught that right away. The sound effects in this, we have to be careful with what we use because we can't, just take blatant stuff away from other copyrighted shows and things. But yeah, that one was unavoidable. Had to happen. The Batman scene change sound.
Yes.
And so in this episode, you're introduced as an android who's my former lover. We obviously are. I'm dripping with contempt for you, and you're still interested, it seems, and looking, like you said before the episode, to get me to come back as often as you can and be your performing monkey, I guess.
Yeah, basically, I think she's sort of something of a sociopath. She just needs to have Captain Cork around at all times so she can pull his strings or whatever it is she needs to be pulling on. But it's almost like she's resentful and jealous of the fact that you still have a human body, frankly.
And that's something I was going to comment on. We don't get the story of how you went from having a human body, which I remember at some point during the dialogue, that I remember you as a human, and then we don't necessarily know how you came to become a debodied head on a tank, more or less. The way I visualize it and the way it was presented to me is you're basically rolling around on like a tracked vehicle, android body, sort of like number 5 is alive.
I think the backstory for her, at least for me, and I don't think I'm too far off, if that's what Chris meant it to be, but I think the backstory for her is something of a feminist push, and then this whole degenitalia
genitalia.
And then at the same time, it's like her favorite part that she misses the most. It's like she's a sadist or something.
Yeah, it's all very strange. So we're doing real well on time. We have 17 minutes left in the show and a 14-minute episode to go. So why don't we jump right into that, and then we'll just recap and babble until you have to take off, and we'll call it a day. I appreciate everyone who's here with us. Chris, if you want to chime in with any creator's notes, definitely do that. I know you're at work and you're getting ready for an inspection. But if you have anything that we haven't mentioned that you want us to say, definitely throw it up there in chat for everyone to see. And without further ado,
one more thing.
Yes, dear.
So this next show, Tina the Tyrannical with the booming voice is gone, and then we're introducing a more diminutive side of the woman. So that's where we enter Lydia. And so I'll be doing Lydia.
Right, that's true. I should have mentioned that. So in this next episode, our talented little scribe plays two different characters. She is Tina the Tyrannical. And we've also got Lydia, whom you're going to be introduced to in this episode, who also, once again, little scribe, I don't want to spoil it too much, but let's just say that in 2 episodes in a row, you have to take on characters who are, in fact, not human.
I have to think about that one.
So basically, there's only one female so far on the show who's a female, and that's Carrie. The other female characters so far coming out of Chris's mind aren't human. Chris, why you hate women so much? Let's play Space Carrie's Adventures in Space episode 4, and then we'll chatter away about all of it with the audience. How about that?
And now, the Steam Star Network is proud to present
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space!
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space!
Does your family love corn? Well, now you can have fresh and delicious corn every day with Steam Star brand Space Corn. Grown without sun, grown without water, grown without soil. But boy, are they grown. Average ear length is 3 feet. So say goodbye to those expensive corn import charges today. Steam Star brand Space Corn. It's better, 'cause space.
Steam Star for your family.
When we last left our heroes, they had narrowly avoided a lifetime of imprisonment on the massive cyborg space lair of Queen Tina Tyrannica, one of the captain's many exes. With Captain Cork's agreement to share the secrets of the Steam Star laser technology, the evil cyborg queen had allowed the party to leave, transporting them directly back to the Steam Starship. Certainly now, Space Carrie and her friends would be off to interplanetary justice to collect the bounty for her now famous defeat of the brutal space pirate, Spacebeard. At least they will, should nothing else go wrong. After another bumpy ride through the mysterious matrix of teleportation, Space Carrie, Captain Cork, Henry the Robot, and Kevin the Space Minstrel find themselves on the main deck of the amazing Steam Starship. But something is not right.
I'm not getting used to those teleports anytime soon. I see what you mean, Henry, about feeling like your parts are in the wrong order.
Beep boop. Tell me about it. This time 2 of my wheels came out sideways, so now I can only go in circles. Beep boop.
Don't worry, Henry. We'll get you right to the Robo Garage. What the? Son of a black hole! I have boobs!
Oh, grow up. You do have boobs. Hey, that's my body. Why do you have my body, Captain?
Now don't panic, Space Carrie. But I'm not the only one with someone else's body here. Henry, hold up a mirror for the lady, won't you?
Beep boop. Sure thing, Captain. Beep boop.
What happened? I have your body. Cork!
Our heads must have got switched during the transport. I know this is probably not what you want to hear right now, but it could be worse.
Oh, I'm sure it could be worse. Now I've got the body of a laser-happy space tool. Why do you have so many freaking lasers anyway?
Take it easy, Space Lady. You haven't taken the Steam Star training course. You could vaporize us all.
Ugh, I already missed the empty space between my legs. And give me my laser sword. That might be nice, Kevin. Some relaxing music, if you would. I'm still processing what's going on here. So this is the magnificent Steam Starship.
The one and only. In this ship I travel the galaxy, broadcasting the Steam Star Network far and wide, wheeling, dealing, making deliveries, and fighting for truth and justice across the galaxy.
It's nice.
Oh, it's more than nice. This ship holds wonders the likes of which you could never imagine. I can't wait to give you the grand tour.
Look, I am aching with anticipation for the tour, Captain Cork. But don't you think we should deal with the more pressing matter of the head switching? And leave those alone. They do not belong to you.
But they're just right here in front of me. It's so hypnotic.
Hands off, or I'll blast you with one of your own tiny little lasers. So, is this reversible or what?
I'm mostly sure that the head switch is reversible, but please don't hate me. I don't know how to do it.
Now our heroes find themselves deep in what Captain Cork likes to call a dilly of a space pickle. Will Captain Cork figure out how to reverse the head switching from the apparent transporter malfunction? It looks like Space Carrie and Captain Cork are stuck with each other until then. How will they proceed? Find out after this brief message.
Is little Johnny about ready for his first pack of Steam Star cigarettes? Let the smoky, savory aroma of Steam Star cigarettes create a bond between you and your son that will last a lifetime.
That smooth and delicious flavor. You're the best, Pop.
I know, Johnny. I know.
Steam Star for your family.
And we're back aboard the Steam Starship, where only half of the heads are in the right places. Space Carrie has an idea.
Doesn't the ship have some kind of super intelligent computer interface that solves all of your problems for you?
Beep boop. That would be Lydia, and you should show her some respect. She can think circles around the entire human race. Beep boop.
You're right. I forgot about Lydia. She'll know what to do. Wake up, Lydia.
How can I service you today, Captain?
Beep boop. Hello, Lydia. You're sounding lovely, as always. Beep boop.
Hi, Lydia. We're back. And I've got some new friends. This is Space Carrie.
Space Carrie!
Does that happen every time I introduce you to someone?
Sure does. Every time since birth. Get used to it.
Whatever. And this is Kevin. He doesn't talk, but he's always playing music. Show her, Kevin. So, Lydia, Space Carrie needs to get to interplanetary justice to collect a bounty, and I'm helping her out. Get this. She actually defeated Space Beard in a laser sword battle.
Wow, Space Carrie. It's certainly an honor to have you aboard the Steam Starship. You sound like a real hero.
Can you open your eyes, honey? We've got a little problem here.
I see. Your heads have been switched. That is incredibly unfortunate, but I must say, Captain, I like you with curves.
Oh, for crying out loud, James. There's an actual woman here now. Could you have her dial back the sexy voice thing a little?
Sure, my bad. Lydia, honey, could you be a doll and turn down the sexy voice level to 4? 5.5. Sorry, Space Carrie. I hardly even think about it after all these years.
Is this inflection more to your liking, Captain?
That's perfect, Lydia.
What are we gonna do about our head situation? I don't want your body for the rest of my life. It's so clumsy.
Well, we can't all be highly trained laser sword masters like you. I mean, if you ask me, it's almost too much tone. Your abs are literally like stone.
I work out. Eyes up. I already told you, hands off those.
Sorry. Do you have any great ideas, Lydia? You are the hyper-smart mega computer in the room. What you got for us?
Beep boop. Lydia is great. Beep boop.
Allow me to run a quick multi-galactic search. I'll be with you shortly. Searching, searching, searching. My intergalactic superdata multibase has yielded several results. I was searching for experts in the practice of cranial retransplantation, with an emphasis on transporter malfunction-related issues. The nearest such expert appears to be a Dr. Everett P. Spludge.
Wow, that's impressive, Lydia. Can you make us an appointment?
My intergalactic superdata multibase shows that Dr. Spludge offers VidCom appointments, as well as remote psychic surgery. According to my intergalactic
We get it, Lydia. You've got an intergalactic subdata multibase. I'm familiar with Everett Spludge.
He does great work, but he's pricey and really popular. It might take weeks to get an appointment.
How long will our heroes have to wait for their appointment? Will the psychic surgeon, Dr. Spludge, even be able to help them? Will Space Carrie and Captain Cork be reunited with their respective bodies? Find out after this!
Did you know that SteamStar Space Rubber is up to 5 times bouncier than other leading brands of rubber? Bounce like you've never bounced before with SteamStar Space Rubber.
SteamStar for your family.
And now, thanks to the masterful arrangements of the Steam Starship's computer interface, Lydia, our heroes find themselves in a video conference with Dr. Everett P. Spludge himself. Hopefully he'll know what to do about their cranial kerfuffle.
Okay, by the looks of it, we've got a classic case of transpo malfunction-related head switching. Wait a minute. Is that Captain James T. Cork? I thought I recognized that head. And that body. How have you been, James? Still shilling crap for SteamStar?
Actually, I'm all that's left of SteamStar. Corporate kept getting in the middle of interplanetary conflicts. Got their headquarters blown up. What about you? It's been space years. I see you've got quite a few more tentacles than the last time I saw you.
Yeah. 3 or 4 new ones pop up every single space year. They're getting to be a real nuisance. They kind of just wave around freely, but they each have a mind of their own, so they're always grabbing onto things. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Pleased to meet you, Dr. Spludge. I'm Space Carrie.
Space Carrie!
Seriously, it even happens when you introduce yourself?
Beep boop. Captain Cork is just jealous that he doesn't have an intro jingle. Beep boop.
I do so have a jingle. Lydia, play Captain Cork title.
Captain Cork!
See? Nothing to it.
Beep boop. It's just not as organic. And you had to ask for it. Beep boop.
So, Dr. Spludge, do you think you can help us? Although the captain seems okay with his new body, I would actually like mine back.
Of course I can help you. In my 30 space years of experience in this field, I've seen some nasty transporter accidents. And if you can believe it, this one's pretty run of the space mill. At least you're both the same species.
Tina probably did it on purpose anyway. Her transporter tech is usually pretty reliable. I think she was jealous of Space Carrie.
Whatever got you into this mess, I can fix you right up with a simple, non-invasive psychic procedure right here from this video conference. That's the good news.
What's the bad news, Everett?
It's gonna cost you.
Great. How much?
Well, let's see here. Consultation fee, plus emergency vid conference fee, on-call differential psychic procedure costs, and other applicable fees, minus 2% friends and family discount. That's gonna come to 23 million space doge.
Holy crap, that's a lot of space doge.
Beep boop. I think you should pay. He's got you over a space barrel. Beep boop.
Come on, Dr. Spludge. How about upping that friends and family discount to, say, 5%?
I'm afraid not, Captain. We're not that close. And I have 17 broods to feed back home. You're welcome to find someone else to fix your little problem.
No! Just pay the doctor, James. You have the money, don't you?
Of course I have the money. I just don't know.
Give me a break. What's a measly 23 million space doge when we're on our way to pick up my 100 gazillion space doge bounty?
Beep boop. Just think, Captain. You'll be a gazillionaire. Beep boop.
Captain, I'm prepared to transfer the space doge coins to Dr. Spludge on your command.
Thank you, Lydia, but I'm just not sure.
Will Captain Cork loosen the grip on his space wallet and fork over the 23 million space doge coins to Dr. Spludge? Without the help of Dr. Spludge, our heroes' bodies may never be reunited with their heads. Has Captain Cork become accustomed to his new expertly toned female body? Or will he return it to Space Carrie, its original owner? Though they are back on the Steam Starship, our heroes seem now to face space predicament after space predicament. Will they ever make it to interplanetary justice to retrieve Space Carrie's bounty? Will they ever be gazillionaires? Find out next time on
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space!
Space Carrie's Adventures in Space! Steam Star for your family.
And that was episode 4 of Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, the 4 episodes that we had planned to play for you this evening. LittleScribe, you've done a fantastic job of flipping back and forth between Tina and Lydia, who it happens are both technical lovers of mine.
Yes, it is interesting. I seem to play the robot figures. Hey, I gotta tell you, Lydia's robot voice, you know how Captain Cork was like, oh, okay, maybe tone it down to a 5 or 4 or 4.5.
No, tone it down to a 4 or a 5 or 5.5.
So I was like, man, how am I going to do this? It was actually really hard. I did a couple of takes until I finally landed on, okay, we'll go semi-robotic, semi-sweet, semi-sexy. And so the robotic thing that I did was actually not enhanced at all. And I was sort of proud of that, I have to say.
Wow, that is really cool that all of my voices just sound like me. Like just, I'm having a hard time. And we're working with that. So one of the things that transpires as you start to realize with the I Am Steam Star rant is that the Steam Star commercials are me. I'm also Captain Cork. And it was difficult for me to come up with 2 different male voices that were both fairly narrator-ish. So we decided to roll with that. So he has the Steam Star ship. He has Steam Star that he built and created and rants about. And it turns out that basically I am Steam Star. So everything about Steam Star is Captain Cork. And that's why it's okay for the commercials to be the same voice as the captain.
See, that's the best part. And in one way, I think that's your job's the hardest because you have so many overlappings. But at the same time, I think that's what makes it so funny because you are your voice. But then when you do the captain, sometimes you're like really gothic, like you said, like more serious. And then you have sort of your announcer commercial voice that's sort of cheesy and a little bit higher up in the register. And then you have just your like regular Han Solo kind of thing you have going on, which I don't know. I think you're doing great. I totally think you're pulling it off.
So I was fortunate enough or misfortunate enough to grow up in the 70s. So when I do the commercials, even though we're going for a 40s feel, Dr. Tonic's Bonner's Space Tonic will fix you, is not what I was doing. I'm trying to channel the Sham Wow guy. Or Ginsu knives, it slices, it dices, it does all the things. Are you having trouble with space lasers? And that sort of thing. I'm trying to do that hypey infomercial guy.
I totally love it, and I totally got that. So on closing for me, my kids are running inside. I want to have my 4-year-old sing the Steam Star for your family. Hang on a sec.
Please do. And I want to hear them say beep boop. LittleScribe's kids hear the show. It's family friendly, and they've adopted Henry's beep boop sound. So now they come in and they tell her, she told me this in DM, beep boop, mom wins lunch. Beep boop, mom wins dinner. Beep boop. So I gotta figure she's going nuts with beep boop. Are they ready? Nope, still getting the kids. She'll key her mic when she's ready. We appreciate you staying with us through 4 episodes of Space Carries in Space. We wanted to really dissect them and stop them at the commercial breaks and talk about the parts. And we may do some more of this in the future. Next week, we will have a brand new episode number 5. We'll be coming back with Carrie when she comes back. I can't wait to see what happens to us because we won't know till Friday when we get our scripts, and we won't know how it happens together with all of us until we hear it on Monday night. So do keep in mind when you listen to them, each of us read our parts, but we don't know what everybody else is going to do. We know their lines because we get the whole script, but we don't know how they're going to sound. And we try to react to... it's kind of like doing green screen work with a cartoon character. It's like talking to Mickey Mouse who isn't there while you're recording your scene. Go ahead.
Okay, I got my kiddo here. Ready?
Yep.
Steam Star for your family. Ding.
Ding. That was great. Everybody give a virtual internet round of applause for LittleScribe's little one, who just sang the Steam Star for Your Family jingle. Can I hear a little beep boop? When's dinner, Mom? Beep boop.
Beep boop is when's dinner, Mom?
Beep boop, beep boop. Good job. Do you like listening to the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all like listening to the show. Thank you for being on the radio with us. What's your name?
I like Captain Cork.
Awesome.
He says, I like Captain Cork.
Aw, thank you. Captain Cork likes you too. Maybe one day we can go for a ride in a spaceship in the future.
All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining me, LittleScribe, to help get me through an evening without Space Carrie so that we could listen to Space Carrie and take it apart. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the Steam Star Network. Steam Star for your family. Beep boop ding. Join us next week for a brand new episode of Space Carrie's Adventures in Space, written by Chris Roberts, performed by CarrieAllen, LittleScribe SirCork, Chris Roberts, and special guest. Pretty soon we may get Crazy BG Adventure on the show in a role that I'm hoping will turn out like we want. And in terms of Space Dog, well, we've got plans for that too, but it's more than just a currency. It might just be our deity. We'll see. Talk to you next week on Mission Control Monday when CarrieAllen returns to take over the airwaves with Space Carrie's Adventures in Space and more. In the meantime, check out our schedule on SteamStar.net. We've now got 15 shows with a couple more onboarding. We should have 16 soon. That means that we're on 6 days a week with live shows, multiple shows of different types every day except Saturday. We do need show hosts for Saturday, so get with us if you're creative and have an idea and can commit to a time slot and put your butt in a seat in front of a microphone week after week after week. Barbie will tell you I'm a slave driver and a taskmaster when it comes to getting these shows on the air and creating quality content. Next week, I will be traveling. So next weekend, I will be in Tennessee for a meetup of Steamians. I'll be filming an episode of Hots or Shots, so I cannot guarantee that I'll be on the air for Steamidizens of Steam on Sunday because I will be driving cross-country during that window. In the meantime, in between time, we will see you then. Take it easy.